As the sound of the door slamming shut behind her reverberated through the large hall, and the rhythmic tapping of boots on concrete faded into the distance, she collapsed sobbing onto the floor. But she was denied even the comfort of a good cry by the blurry flashes of gold that danced tantalizingly before her streaming eyes, brutal reminders of the circumstances that led her here and what she must now do to escape her fate. She stood up, reaching blindly towards the golden flashes, and found her hands buried in straw. Drawing them back with a sharp cry, as though the gentle pricking of the straw felt like 1,000 hot knives on her skin, she stumbled backwards and landed in another pile of straw. There was no escaping it. Bales of golden yellow straw were stacked all around her, from floor to ceiling. Even the best war elephant is wont to panic and run amok when encircled by a sea of glinting spears, and she? Well, she was no battle-hardened elephant. She was a frightened young girl who'd been ordered to perform a miracle overnight on the pain of death. And so, she blundered across the room, knocking over the lone spinning wheel, desperately looking for something, anything, that might help her, when out of the shadows a sly voice spoke. "What will you give me if I help you?" "Anything." The word burst forth immediately, without a pause to consider what she was promising the voice. After all, what did she own that was more precious than her life? A short, bow-legged man dressed in rags emerged slowly from a corner, edging along the walls. "Anything?" She nodded. "If I succeed tonight, I will marry the king's son. Anything I own is yours for the taking. Jewels, riches, grain, castles, land, I have all that already. I will take your firstborn in return for my help," and he vanished in a column of smoke, leaving behind glittering heaps of gold coins in place of the straw. True to his word, 2 years later, when a feeble wail rent the night air, and the princess welcomed her newborn son into the world, he returned to lay claim to his prize and found her unwilling to surrender her son to him. She cried, she pleaded, she offered him her kingdom, her lands, her life, but he was unyielding. Finally, he said, 2 days. If you discover my name, you may keep your child." Messengers were dispatched in all 4 directions to scour the kingdom and bring back a list of every name they came across. They passed through towns and cities, over hills and across lakes, collecting first names, last names, common names, rare names, fictional names, names of somebody's great-grandfather. People lined up in the streets feverishly adding every name they could think up to the ever-growing catalogue, and that night the princess read them out to the little man, growing increasingly panic-stricken with each passing hour. At dawn he disappeared, leaving her just 1 day to guess his name correctly and save her baby. There's a theory that, given infinite time, a monkey hitting random keys on a typewriter will eventually type out every text. The princess did not have either a monkey or infinite time at her disposal, so she did the next best thing. She declared a holiday and ordered every man, woman and child to invent as many names as possible. She herself sat down, combining letters at random, hoping to somehow hit the jackpot. Balthazar? Carol? Bjornsson? Sergei? Cordy? Sodabot Leoponerwala? Shimbleshanks, but which each name he shook his head gleefully and inched a little closer to the child. As the first rays of the sun appeared over the horizon, and his fingers were curled over the edge of the cradle, she tried one final time, Rumpelstiltskin? With a shriek of disappointment, he stomped a hole through the floor and vanished into the abyss. "I go by many names. I was Apopes to the Egyptians, Supui to the Incas, Satan, Lucifer, Mephistopheles, Beelzebub. That night, when I was thwarted, I was Rumpelstiltskin. Right now, I am a witch, sitting in the window of my tall tower, black cloak billowing in the breeze, watching my neighbor scale the fence between our gardens and make his way stealthily towards my lettuce patch. Watching and waiting for the right opportunity to strike. You see, sitting here through the ages, languishing in the darkness, life tends to get monotonous. I have a day job as an over-glorified tour guide to the people who get sent here to serve out various sentences to scour their consciences before they can make it into the Sky Casino. I also have a bunch of more mundane hobbies, some soul collecting, journaling, a little dabbling in black magic, deploying my lackeys to go wreak some havoc, nothing too eccentric. Then a few millennia ago I realized I was really doing a number on my reputation, and it was necessary to resuscitate it. There I was, the face of evil, representative of everything wrong with the world, and yet it had been quite a while since someone thought of me and crossed themselves. I had gotten complacent, and it was time to fix it by brushing up my resume with a few new skills, so I decided to shapeshift and steal some kids. Of course, because of the nature of my work, I could not just take them, the parents had to promise them to me or voluntarily give them up, which made the whole process a lot more complex. My stint as Rumpelstiltskin was the first attempt I made at seriously pursuing my new hobby. It was also my only failure. From then onwards, I only got better at it, sometimes trading more elaborate plots for the simpler ones where I used the allure of money, fame, or power to get what I wanted. This new pastime caught on quickly, among the demons here in the underworld, and children around the countryside started to go missing. When I started, every baby taken was a story. A story that spread like wildfire through villages, towns, and cities. People warned each other about fairies and witches, about the Pied Piper of Hamelin, about Rumpelstiltskin. Lost children were mourned, their memories preserved in legends and myths. But over time my demons evolved, slipping quietly among humans, writing their laws and programming their computers. The system became faster, more efficient, mechanized. Now a lost child is a blip on a computer screen, one statistic among thousands. Every day on the border, children are pried from the arms of their parents. Parents who take enormous risks in the hope of a brighter future. The demons have evolved, they walk among you now, they are you now.